Shabbat Shalom, Kahalo Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us His truth. Shabbat Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. Shout out to the brother Azamawa. I'm the brother Yashawan back with the World War III Daily update. Shabbat Shalom and salutations to you all. All right, so we're going to start right here at Joel 3, right? And because largely what's being overlooked is the real battle, right? The Battle of Armageddon, which is the last battle, right? Before the fourth dimension opens up, Yahushua and the angels come through and clean this place up, starting with your so-called power, which is your militaries, all right? So this is what the Most High's plan is. He can tell you, and why he will be implementing his plan. The Most High's plan is to judge the nations, right? And that's what he's going to do. So this is King James, Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat. The valley of Yehoshaphat is the Middle East. Okay? See this? All right? Jerusalem and region and da-da-da-da. The Middle East. Okay? And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. There's the reason why. Okay, now to get a little more clarity, if you will, we're going to read it in the NLT. I will gather, this is the Most High, I is going to gather what? I will gather the armies of the world. Right here we got all nations, all the armies of the world. Where? Into the Middle East. Now, why is this the most important battle? Because the Most High is the one doing this. Whatever's going on in Russia, the Most High is doing that too, but that's this devil, okay? What's going on in Eastern Europe is a family fight between the Edomites, okay? It's a family feud because the Ukrainians, Edomites. The Russians, same Edomites, right? Believing in different doctrines and gods or whatever. You understand? And a lot of the Ukrainians, right, when you go back to the Khazarian Empire, right, that's where that fight goes back to. Okay? Kagan, Bullen, the whole thing where you had Muslims, you had Christians closing in on either side during the Khazarian Empire. And the people in the middle, the Amalekites, they said, well, what are you going to do? Which side are you going to? Are you going to choose to be a Muslim or are you going to choose to be a Christian? The Amalekites said, we're going to choose to be, we're going to choose Judaism, which is a religion. We're going to choose to be like the Jews, okay? Like the Israelites. And that's where that thing comes. All these Edomites, right, fighting amongst themselves with different religions. That's all that is. And that fight, that feud goes all the way back. Okay? Well, ask Vlad Putin, right, who believes himself to be an Orthodox Christian, if you will, right? Why? Because of the Dark Ages. All right? So really, it's just it's a holy war as far as they're concerned, right? Dealing with religion. But they're all Edomites, all right? Now, whoever divided up the Most High's land is in trouble, right? And they came out of Khazaria, right? They're forever going to, that's Japheth's land up there. Anyway, this is the most important battle, right? And they're obscuring it. How are they obscuring it? Well, they're saying, oh, well, Russia is fighting against Ukraine. Whatever. It's a family feud. Oh, China wants their land back. China wants Taiwan back. What do you mean? Taiwan is China. What do you mean? Ukraine is Russia. Going back to the USSR. The Soviet what? Union. All right. What does it mean? United States. That means all of those states are at one. What does a Soviet Union mean? Okay. It means they're all one. All right. Now somebody is over there trying to, covet land and do what the hell they want to do. What's really going on over in the Ukraine? Okay. Well, let's ask Hunter Biden and why that little map is on his back. All right. What's really going on over there? Okay. Anyway, so we're going to deal with Dina Amelia Galmetta. One day ago, I saw this and I'm like, uh-oh, Dina's got what is it, 10-minute? She's got a 10-minute, 11-minute video. She should be able to succinctly wrap everything up for the update, right? But, okay, let's read this. Israel turns to China for help. Iran demands U.S. exit Mid-East accident. Mid-East accident with U.S. and China will lead to World War III. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to skip all of this about China. China's a distraction. Okay. The U.S. is in bed with China up to the eyeballs. All right. So this ain't the fight. The fight is not Putin. Although Putin got the most nukes, China got the second amount of nukes as opposed to Babylon. What is the real fight? Okay. Well, the real fight is about Israel. Israel and so-called Iran. And everybody is sidestepping that. Now, I know I'm talking a lot, and we're going to try to keep this short, but let's listen to Dina explain what's going on in the Middle East. Why is Israel, or the Israelis, going to China to say, hey, you got to stop these Iranians. Stop giving them power. Stop setting them up to come in and attack. You got to be on our side. And it shows you the desperation of these Israelis. It also shows that Israel is mad at the U.S. They're going to get into that. Okay? There's a little rift going on between the big Satan and the little Satan here, which is what their name is, right? In the Middle East, ask them Arabs, what do they call the U.S.? They call them the big Satan, and they call the Israelis the little Satan, meaning they're together, they're joined together at the hip, if you will. So, take it away, Dina. Listen closely to what she's going to say, especially when she gets to the Carmanians, who are the Iranians, the Persians, sorry.
Militaries. Now, in the meantime, over in Israel Foreign Minister Eli Cohen has asked China to influence Iran to cease developing its illegal nuclear weapons program.
To influence Iran? What? Israel went to China to influence them to talk to the Iranians and say, hey, you got to stop with your quote unquote illegal weapons. What? Listen to this. The audacity of this devil. The caucasity. Listen again.
Strengthen strategic communication between the two militaries. Now, in the meantime, over in Israel Foreign Minister Eli Cohen has asked China to influence Iran to cease developing its illegal nuclear weapons program, inviting Beijing to play a bigger role in the Middle East as relations with the U.S. under Joe Biden have deteriorated.
What? I'm going to stop interrupting. But apparently, there's a problem with the small hats and Babylon the Great, right? A deteriorating what? And she's going to explain it too. I want to hear her say it again. All right, here we go.
With the U.S. under Joe Biden have deteriorated. He made the request in a conversation on Monday with the Chinese foreign minister. China has long been an ally of the Iranian Islamist regime, part of a growing axis of anti-American states, prominently including Russia, Venezuela, Syria, and North Korea. China's friendship with Saudi leaders, however, has grown following Biden's promise to make the traditional U.S. ally a pariah and a disastrous trip to Saudi Arabia that ended with the OPEC cartel, which Saudi Arabia de facto lead, announcing historic oil production cuts.
Now remember, Slovakia, remember these Arabs, okay? Remember these Arabs and remember these Carmanians, all right?
Similarly, the Biden administration has alienated Israel by sternly criticizing the government's attempts to reform its judicial system.
That's another family feud, right? The Amalekites, right? The least of the flock is doing what? They're fighting with the family, right? All Idumea. What is that about?
Internal sovereign matter. And Biden himself refused to invite Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House, even after his underlings had said publicly that Netanyahu should expect an invitation soon. But it goes on to report that Cohen had said that he had encouraged the Chinese foreign minister to participate in convincing Iran to cease developing nuclear weapons. He said that he called on him to exert his influence on Iran to stop the progress of the nuclear program, which poses a danger to many countries in the Middle East and the world. China's state-run news agency quoted the defense minister as discussing hostilities against Israel and by Palestinian groups, not Iran, by offering the Communist Party's involvement in the Mideast matter anyway. He said that China is ready to provide convenience for peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians, proposing that the two sides, following the guide of the Chinese president's Global Security Initiative, a vague proposal that discourages all countries except China from pursuing their individual interests and to instead subordinate those national interests to an undefined greater international good. He said that all parties should maintain calm and restraint and stop excessive and provocative words and deeds. Adding,
You hear that? He said, can you stop the Iranians, right, from gaining traction? And they said, well, and the Chinese said, well, what you need to do is you need to clean up your own. You guys over there that divided the Most High's land and you're fighting over it, you need to get that under control. And by the way, you singling us out of that little union you got over there. That ain't cool neither. So it's funny what you see happening on the world stage right now, right? Well, the caucasity of you to go over, I really want to run that back because they go into, right here, they go into how all of these countries, there's Iran, there's Russia, there's the Arab world, right, are all together against these two that are fighting against Bibi and Biden, who are fighting right now. So they had to send a contingent, Cohen, over to China and say, hey, since we're fighting amongst ourselves right now, here's what you need to do. Just crazy. Craziness. I'm not going to back it up. Go watch this. Go back and watch this again.
Fundamental way out is to resume peace talks and implement the two-state solution. Now, in addition to that, Iran's president on Tuesday used the country's annual Army Day to repeat blood-curdling threats to destroy Israel while adding for good measure a demand that the U.S. exit the Middle East immediately. The comments by Iran's president came as fighter jets and helicopters flew overhead in Iran as Iranian submarines sailed across its waters during a ceremony carried out by state television. Speaking at the ceremony, the Iranian president continued a long tradition of threatening Israel with destruction, stating that enemies, particularly the Zionist regime, has received the message that any tiny action against our country will prompt a harsh answer from the armed forces, which will accompany the destruction of Haifa and Tel Aviv. He also reiterated a long-standing demand for the U.S. to leave the Middle East or face the same fate as Israel. And finally, over in...
Oh, that's huge. Now they go over to the Sudan and they're talking about, this is not as important as what we just watched, okay? Because we know how this thing ends, all right? And I'm going to wrap it up, all right? So the real war, okay, is with this guy right here, right? What? Iran renews threats against who? The small hats, while demanding U.S. get the hell out of the Middle East. Right? The Valley of Yehoshaphat, going back. What is the Most High doing? This is where we're going to see World War III go. The Most High is gathering the armies of the world into the Middle East. Okay? And what will we see? Okay? We will see 2 Ezra 15 and 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, the Middle East, where the nations of the dragons of what? The Arabs, dragons of Arabia, shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Now, quickly, let me go back to this, because this is the, well, we'll get to him. That's the Carmanian. This right here. What happened? Spurned. Wait, no. This guy right here, is this bin Salman? Muhammad bin Salman, the butcher of Arabia that had Khashoggi chopped up into little pieces? So they say, all right? Well, this guy went over to say, hey, get back in line. And they laughed at him, right? This is the dragons of what? Arabia, the Arabs. The Arabs are coming together with who? With this guy, right? I believe this is the Edomite. But anyway, these are the Carmanians. So let's read this again. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, the Middle East, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. This is what's gonna happen according to Yahweh Shem Yeshua. Also the Carmanians, the Iranians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. With great power shall they come and join with them. With who? With the dragons of Arabia. This is what everybody's afraid of. Okay? Why did Israel run to China and say, hey, you got to talk to these Iranians, you got to talk to these wild boars of the Carmanians? Where's that at? Right here. They ran, it says spurned by Biden. The small hats, spurned by Biden. Israel asked China to help contain Iranian threat. Huh? What's going on? Really what's going on? Israel, Slovakia, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. Who else do you need to win? Oh, Kim Jong-il, Korea, North Korea. All right? That's what's going on over here. Where does it say that? Also, the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come. With what? Stop making those nukes. Great power shall they come and join battle with them. With who? With the dragons, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. He's a wild man. See how the scriptures work? They're telling you ahead of time who's going to win. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. All right, so we already know, hey, these prophecies are jumping off the page. So don't get twisted, right? Don't get it twisted as to where the real battle is. It's not in the South China Sea. It's not Russia against the Ukrainians going into Crimea. Oh, the next battle after Bakhmut is Crimea, and never mind what's going on over in the Valley of Yehoshaphat. That's the real battle. Okay? The Battle of Armageddon. Are they going to say that it's the last? Listen, what will they say? Is it the last battle? The last war? The Battle of Armageddon. Not the Bible verse. Let's just see what they say about it. The final war between human governments and God. Okay? Let's go here. Salakia, and we'll close after this. Just getting a little perspective. Of course, they're going to. Okay. All right, according to the book of Revelation in the New Testament of the Christian Bible, Armageddon is the prophesied location of a gathering of armies for a battle during the end times, which is variously interpreted as either real or literal or symbolic location. It's not really going into it. What is it? City of Megiddo. What about the battle? Is it the last battle or not? Realize that the battle of the great day of Armageddon is not an Oslo. So they're going around it. This is the devil trying to cause confusion. Just get to it. What does this say? This is Jehovah's Witness. What is the Battle of Armageddon? The Battle of Armageddon refers to the final war between human governments and God. These governments and their supporters oppose God even now by refusing to submit to his rulership. That's partially true. But first, right, they're going to fight against each other. Right? Where is that at? You neglected that there, Mr. Devil, Jehovah. Okay? Well, let's refer to the scriptures and see what's going to happen and what this means. Okay? Let's read 33. This is 2nd Ezra 13 and 33. And when all the people, meaning all the armies, when all the people hear his voice, the voice of Yahushua, meaning them laser beams, every man shall in their own land, it's talking about all those nations, okay? The armies of those nations are going to do what? Leave the battle they have one against another. What is that? See, this is where God and the angels come in and fight against these nations. But what's happening right here? What do you mean the battle they have one against another? Okay? What do you mean? That's called World War III. Okay? Well, was World War I fought, and the angels were there, but they didn't fight directly on either side. Same with World War II. They were there. World War III is, let's get it. Okay? I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jezreel under the pretense of fighting each other for dominance in the New World Order. All right? But then Yahushua is going to pop up and the angels. Okay? First, they're going to be fighting each other. Where? In the Middle East. And it says it right here. Okay? Let's read 31. 2 Ezra 13 and 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another. One city against another, one place against another, one people against another. Okay, that's World War III. Now, after that, then, and one realm. That's when the angels and Yahushua get into it. Okay? What is it, 31? Oh, 15. Where am I? What is this? 13. That's correct. Bear with me. Is it 32? Here, 33. Salakim. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land, meaning their nation. Your own land refers to the nation. The nations are going to fight each other. Leave the battle they have one against another. That's World War III. Okay? That is them fighting against each other. What does it mean they're going to leave the battle they have? Well, they're going to stop fighting each other and turn their attention to Yahushua and the angels. So this has to happen before the end, before they get laid down. Okay? And that's the point. That's what we're looking at right here. Right? Everybody is taking a side. Right? You got the Israelis fighting against the U.S. right here, not agreeing. Spurned by Biden, Israel asked China to help. But wait a minute. You guys are joined together at the hip. All right? So keep your eyes on what? This. Here's where the fight is. The point I'm making is the real fight, according to the scriptures, right? Because it doesn't say right here, I will gather the armies of the world into the South China Sea. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say I will gather the armies of the world into Eastern Europe, right? Or into the land of Ham. It doesn't say that. It says this. Okay? And this, right? What does this say? Israel turns to China for help. Iran demands U.S. get the hell out, which is not going to happen. What is the U.S. going to do? Oh, you got to get the hell out of the middle. Oh, no, we got to fight. Well, there it is. That's where it's going to go down. Okay? And will lead to what? The last one. Not the big one. The last one. Let's get that one close. All right? And I know I'm kind of convoluted and rambling, but this is what it is. Shout out to Azamawal. All right, here we go. Revelation 11 and 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. That's what the scripture said. All right? That's what's about to happen. Right? And we're watching it. This is what's important. You want to measure the time? Keep your eye on this. What has to happen before this thing jumps off in earnest right before the missiles? The sea hip. All right? What is World War III about? Who's going to rule in the New World Order? That's what they're fighting over. And who believes that they're going to do it? China. Everybody thinks that China is going to be the new gatekeeper of the new world that they're bringing in under the CBDC and blah, 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 blah. Guess what? We already know. What does this mean right here? What does the scripture say? Okay. Does it say Moab is going to rise up and rule the world? No, it says this. 2 Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of what? The world. Who's ruling the world right now? Esau. And Jacob, not Ammon, not Moab. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Plain and simple. And who's going to set this in motion? Okay? Yahweh Shai is. Okay? Here's who wins World War III. I'll read 19. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies. There's your World War III. Right when they stopped fighting each other in World War III. Gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone, and the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse. This is what happened, right? Which sword proceedeth out of his mouth. Okay, that's what happened there. And what happened after that? Then the kingdom of heaven was set up. For who? Okay, for the children of Israel, for starting with Yahweh Shai all the way down, right? So we'll end it right there, right? And I could get more specific, but just keep your eye on the Middle East, all right? And anything else is a distraction, right? And I mean, it means something. What does it mean? It means that we're getting closer, all right? The world is at war, and it's only a matter of time before they declare it. All right, so with that, we hope that the elect were edified, you brothers and few sisters. With that, we're going to say Shabbat Shalom.